everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jenny, and you can find me on Instagram and on Ravelry as Honeybird Studio. Today I have a podcast episode, episode 24, and this is the second time I'm filming it because the first time I filmed it, the file was 22 gigabytes, so I was filming on a much higher resolution, and unfortunately I don't think my internet can handle, or my internet at home can handle uploading 22 gigabytes of video. So I'm filming it again the following weekend, or like the weekend after I filmed it. I filmed it last weekend, and I am hoping to, well, I wouldn't say like rush, I don't want to rush through my projects, but now that I've had practice talking about them, maybe I can get through it a little bit faster without waffling on. So, well, now that I've waffled on. Anyways, well, yes, we'll jump into it. And so the first thing I want to talk about is what I'm wearing, and this is my first finished object. This is the Moonset Tee, and this is by Ozetta. And the yarn that I used is Isis Fiber Arts, and it was their fingering alpaca base. So I'll stand up so you can kind of see. Now, this project has two things different, or like one thing different from the pattern and one thing different that I've never done before. And so I did helical knitting for this pattern. So I think starting from the underarm, I started doing helical knitting. And for the most part, it looks good. And then when I added the third skein, it kind of, I guess it was lighter than the previous skein. And so it kind of has a bit of a light pooling here, but it's way more noticeable on camera than it is in person. So I'm not too concerned about it, but I will say helical knitting was not as complicated as I thought it was going to be. But yeah, so I did the helical knitting for the most part. I like how it turned out. I didn't do it at the top here, like, because this is working back and forth and I wasn't about to have to manage yarn every other row. So, and I think it did a pretty, like, the color of the yarn did a pretty good job of not pooling, like working back and forth. And then, yeah. Oh, yeah, like, I can kind of see that kind of pooling right there, but again, like I said, in person it's not as noticeable. The other thing was I did change the bind-off. I changed the bind-off from what was in the pattern. I believe it was an I-cord bind-off. And I didn't really like the way that it looked, so initially I did a folded hem, and I didn't like how that was looking either, and so this actually sat in timeout for quite a while, at least a month or two. I started this in the summer, and then when I got to the sleeves, I was like, no, I don't like it. I don't like how it's turning out. So I put it in timeout. So what I ended up doing was I ripped back the sleeves to before I did the folded hem, and I just went straight into a 2x2 rib. So basically I did 2x2 ribbing. And because I'm obsessed with the Italian bind-off right now, I converted the 2x2 to 1x1 and then did the Italian bind-off on both sides. And I also did it on the bottom as well. So I really like there's no decreases or anything. I think this is just the way it kind of lays on my body. And when I blocked this, it blocked out so nicely. I kind of aggressively blocked the ribbing because I didn't want it to cinch in, like, to, you know, I guess you can, like, it kind of still, but not really. I pinned it, I didn't pin it, like, super aggressively, but you can kind of see, like, that crease right there where I had it laying flat, and I had pinned it out, but I don't know. I think the more I wear this, the less that crease will show. So, in the end, I'm really happy with the choice that I made to do the ribbing. And like I really like 2x2 ribbing, and I really like the fit of this. I didn't do a gauge swatch. I just kind of picked the needles and went with it, and I definitely like V-necks. I think I'm realizing the more I knit sweaters and garments in general, I'm starting to like realize that I like certain constructions. And I think my favorite right now is drop shoulders and V-necks. I really like knitting drop shoulder garments. It's really, I actually do like knitting back and forth, and like once it's connected in the round, if it's straight stockinette, it does get really boring, and I think that's why it took me so long to get the body of this done, because I think it was on 3.25 millimeter needles. So it was yeah, 3 millimeter needles for the ribbing and 3.25 for the body. But anyways, yeah, straight stockinette's just kind of boring, but that's why, you know, knitting back and forth is a little bit more interesting because you get to purl a row and knit a row. But anyways, so yeah, so that's my moonset tee, and I'm really happy with it. The color, I feel like if it was a little bit more saturated, I think I would like it a little bit more. I don't mind it. I just think it kind of, I don't know, with my skin tone, I don't know if it really works well for me, but I have worn this a couple of times now since finishing it, and I would definitely knit this pattern again. I really enjoyed it, and like I said, I love the fit of it and the construction. So yeah, so that's my moonset tee. So now I'll get into all of my finished objects. All right, so I have 9 finished objects this time, and that's because it's been, I think, 5 weeks since I last podcast, and I made that video of 15 things, or no, everything that's on my needles, and it was 15 whips. And since making that video, I've been very motivated to work on those projects and get them done. So the first handful of finished objects were all cast on and cast off between the last podcast and this one. So those ones will be new, but everything else I believe I have shown either on a previous podcast or in that video of everything on my needles. So the first thing I'm going to show is just a little tiny finished object I used with some leftover yarn from another project. So this is called the Soho Scrunchie, and this is by Tori. And oh, I should probably, normally I put the picture on the screen and then I show it, so yeah. So that's the scrunchie. And the yarn I used is from Rose Hill Yarns, and it is their single ply fingering weight yarn and their silk mohair blend. And yeah, so I just made the scrunchie. It was super easy to follow the pattern. The only thing was, it was really, it wasn't complicated doing the Kitchener stitch all around, but it was certainly fiddly because you have, I think you start with a provisional cast on, and then you knit like 2 inches of fabric, or like the pattern has different weights and different sizes of scrunchies, so, and it's a free pattern. So I chose the DK weight one, and I knit to the specified inches, and then I got an elastic band, put it in, and then you kind of sandwich it and you do the Kitchener stitch. Oh yeah, and you go back and pick up the provisional cast on a second set of circular needles. So it did take me a while to do the Kitchener stitch on this because it was really fiddly trying to keep this folded and get the needles lined up, and I don't know. I just remember it being just a little bit fiddly, and because I was thinking, oh, I'll make a whole bunch of these and I'll put them in all the girls in my family, I'll put a scrunchie in their stocking, but I don't know if I really want to have to deal with the Kitchener stitch thing again. Maybe sometime in the future when I go through all my scrap yarn and I have just a bunch of leftovers, I'll make some scrunchies. But yeah, so that's that one. My second finished object is these pair of fingerless mittens, and this is called Cloudburst, and this is by Arienne Gray. The yarn that I used is Sheep Cheese, Alpaca Rhythm, and Mohair Rhythm. So these are the fingerless mittens. And I know, like, yeah, the mohair kind of obscures the lace detail, and I also haven't blocked these, and I don't think I will. I mean, maybe I should. I gotta do some blocking today anyway, so maybe I'll put them on the blocking mats. Oh, there's one end that I didn't weave in. Oh my gosh. I was so good at weaving in ends and I missed one. But I'll do that and then I'll block these. Anyways, I totally forgot to bring my ball bands today. I have them all in a Ziploc bag and they're sitting on my couch, which was next to my bag of all my knitting stuff. But I think I don't know what I was doing, but my mind forgot about the Ziploc bag. I should have just put it in the bag of knitting, but anyways. So the modification I made to this pattern is that I think I did 2 or 3 less repeats. I guess it was probably 2 less repeats on the wrist part, because the first Cloudburst fingerless mittens that I made, I did it 2 pattern and they're long, but I find that they're not very, it's hard to wear those ones with my sweaters. So, and also I usually wear a Fitbit, so it just kind of doesn't work out as well to wear my Fitbit and the fingerless gloves. So with these ones, because I was going to run out of yarn and because I wanted shorter mittens, that's why I made these ones. I did end up running out of the lace and I just doubled up the mohair. So you can tell like it's more pink here and then more fuzzy, like lighter pink up here, which is totally fine. These are for me, so I'm not too fussed about having run out of the lace yarn and having to double up on the mohair. So I'm excited to wear these. Like I said, I guess I will block these today when I block another project. And yeah, so that's that. Pretty. Okay, so that was finished object number 2. Now finished object number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, well, I count these all as finished object number 3 because they're all the same pattern. And this is going to be my Lyss Toque. And this is Lyss Toque 2.0. I originally released this pattern back in 2019, I think. And I had made it for a worsted weight hat. And I made a whole bunch of them, and I made them all in DK weight, and I actually preferred that more than the worsted weight one. And also my pattern writing style has changed, so I wanted to update the pattern. And so this is style number 1. I've got 2 styles in the pattern, one for 20 to 22 inch circumference and one for 21 to 23 inch circumference. And then also there's modifications to make it like slouchier, or like I don't know. This one fits closer to the top of my head, like it's more of a snug fit. And then I've added in the pattern how to extend the motif, the cables, to have that extra bit at the top. That is not really my style. I don't know. I just can't get behind that, like the tall beanie, tall toque thing. Anyways, the yarn that I use for this is by Midknit Cravings, and this is in their Comfort Sport DK base. And if I remember correctly, this colorway is called Petal. And yeah, I would put it on, but I've got my hair in a bun, and it's, yeah, I'll try to insert pictures so you can see. My sister did take pictures for me wearing the toque. So yeah, and I added a pom-pom on this one because I really like pom-poms on my hat, and this hat's for me. And the pom-pom is one of those ones that you tie on. I think this is my favorite style of pom-pom because it's so much easier to take on and off, or put on and take off, especially when you need to like block it or wash it again. I also have used the ones that have like the clip-on, not clip-on, but it's like it snaps on, like the snap ones. But tying it on and off just seems so much more simple. And I really hate having to sew down the other half of the snap. So yeah, so that's that. And then the second one is style number 2. And so this one is to fit 21 to 23 inch circumference. And so this one's, the reason why I called it style 1 and style 2 instead of size 1 and size 2 is because this second one is technically a different pattern. It's got the same cable motifs, but to add that extra inch of room, I've added an extra, for each repeat, there's 2 extra stitches in there. And so this one fits, like I have a 22 inch circumference head, so this one fits a a little bit more loosely on my head, but it will fit up to, what did I say, 23 inches. So because I had added those twisted stitches, the folded brim has, on this one I did a couple of rows of pearls, and that creates a rolled hem look. So you can see that it just rolls over. And so because it's flipped up, the first half of the brim is knit with the twisted stitches being pearls, and then on the second half, after the pearl rows, it switches back, or it switches to knitting or twisted knits. Anyways, all that to explain, when you wear it, so that the knits and the pearls all line up. So you can see, it's kind of hard to show if it's not on my head, but you can essentially like maneuver it once it's on so that all the stitches line up. Yeah, there you go, kind of like that. And this one doesn't have a pom-pom, but I'm thinking of adding a pom-pom to it. I just have to look at my pom-pom collection of what I have. I have a bunch of like natural fur looking, well, they're not actual fur, they're faux fur pom-poms, but they're all like natural colors of faux fur pom-poms. And then I have like a burgundy pom-pom. I think it might be too dark for this though. I might have to go to, I think the fabric store nearby has a bunch of pom-poms on clearance. Maybe I'll do that today because it's not raining at the moment. So that's that. And then the third hat is style number 1 again. And this one I knit out of leftover yarn from my Harlow sweater v-neck. This is knitting for Olive in the heavy merino. And even though this is technically a worsted weight, I did knit it up with the needle sizes recommended in my pattern. And I feel like it worked up totally fine. It's nice and snug on my head, and I'm looking forward to wearing this with my Harlow sweater v-neck. Maybe that's too matchy-matchy, but I don't know. We'll see what happens when I do have the Harlow sweater blocked, which I still have to do. My next 2 hats are, let's see, this one is style 1, and I think this one has the extended cable section. Yeah, the extended cable section to make it a little bit more like taller at the top, so you have a little bit more space up there. And the yarn that I used for this is Rose Hill Yarns, and I used 1 strand of their single ply fingering base and 1 strand of their mohair silk base. So that was that one, and then I had enough left over to make a second hat, so this one is in style 2. And I did something different on this one in that, oh no, which one did I do? Oh no, this one I did the rolled hem again. So this one is style 2. You can see the twisted stitches line up with the ribbing, or sorry, with the cables. And then, so that's these 2. So you can see like the difference. They're very drapey. So this one's style 1, and then this one is style 2. So you can see it's a little bit bigger than this one to accommodate a slightly larger head. And then the last one that I knit, I tried something different on the hem, on the rolled part of the brim, and that was adding a pearl ridge, like a pearl bump. And I think I did this one just to test to see what it would look like. But me personally, I don't like the pearl bump. I prefer the rolled hem look. So this yarn is the hot pink that's in there is Malabrigo sock, and then the fuzzy mohair in here was an unlabeled ball of mohair that I got from a D-stash. And when I say D-stash, I mean a friend of mine had just a bin of stuff that she was going to donate, and so like I don't remember where she said she was going to donate it, but she said I could go through and pick out some stuff. So I saw the unlabeled mohair and I was like, oh, that could be enough to make a hat. And it was pretty well just enough to hold double, or to hold with another yarn to make a hat. I have like a little nugget left. But yeah, so that's all my Lyss Toques that I've knit so far. I was gonna knit another one, but I was like, okay, no, I gotta gotta calm down, start working on some other stuff. So that's that. And then the next finished object is a Christmas stocking I knit for my younger sister. And this one I had started a while ago. This is my stocking, and it's knit out of Loops and Threads Impeccable in like kind of like an off-white beige, more like an off-white color. So basically for this I cast on, what is it, 80 stitches, and I knit 20 rounds of stockinette. And then I think this seed stitch ended up being like 30 or almost 40 rounds of seed stitch, because I guess it cinches in more than just regular stockinette, so I had to knit quite a few extra rounds of it. And then I knit 60 rounds for the leg. I did a wrap and turn heel. I think that's what it's called. I don't know. I didn't use German short rows. I just used wrap and turns. And I definitely did not do a very good job of my wrap and turns. I feel like on one side it looks good. Or yeah, on one side it looks fine, but I don't know. On the other side it looks a little wonky. So anyways, so 60 rounds, did the heel, and then 30 rounds before I did my toe decreases. And I think the way I do my toe decreases on like actual socks is you knit 3 rounds and then decrease, and then knit 2 rounds decrease, 2 rounds decrease, and then 1 decrease, 1 decrease, 1 decrease, and then you decrease on every round until there's 10 stitches left on each needle. So I think that's the toe that I did on this as well. So far I've knit 3 for my family. I've got 1 for my younger sister's partner, this one for my younger sister, and then I've knit 1 for my oldest niece. And my plan was to have all the stockings done by this year, but that's totally not going to happen. It'll probably take a couple years before I have a stocking for everyone, because my family's still expanding. I have another niece on the way, so yeah. But yeah, so that's my Christmas stocking. I'm sure I'll next year I'll try and get the rest of my, what is it? Yeah, I gotta get my, you know, there's like 15 more stockings I'm gonna have to knit, so it's gonna be a while. Anyways, the next finished object is the Sporty Knit Skort, and this is by Florence Miller. And the yarn that I used is a vintage yarn, an older yarn, Regia 3-ply. I don't have the ball band, but it was from a friend's grandmother. She brought back she brought back some yarn for me from her grandmother's stash. So, am I holding this the right way? Yep. So this is my skirt. Ugh. This is the skirt. And I didn't do the skort or like the shorts, because I didn't have enough yarn. And even if I did, this yarn's not the most comfortable next to skin, even though I think it is a super wash, apparently, but it's not like super prickly, but it's just not comfortable. I wouldn't want to have it on my thighs, I guess shorts, but yeah. So it's super cute. I'm so glad I finally have this off the needles. It was literally just ribbing for days. So show it up close. I don't know if it's gonna focus, but yeah. So it basically, you start with like a small amount of ribbing up here, and then you gradually increase. So it kind of, let me see if I can like hold it out like that. So you see it, there's more pearls at the bottom than up, like way up at the top. The pattern is written really well. I think it's got multiple sizes, and yeah, it's super cute. I've put together an outfit that I think is cute. Basically this skirt with a dress shirt and my Lana vest over top, like a knitted vest. And I'm like, is knits on knits too many knits? Like, can I wear a knitted vest with a knitted skirt? Is that a thing? I think it looks cute, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see. I haven't worn it out yet, like out and about, so. But yeah, this was essentially just a lot of ribbing. Like, you're just knitting and purling, knit, purl, knit, purl. And I think this was on 3.5 millimeter needles. Oh, also I held the yarn double because I think the yarn was I think it was like a sport weight, maybe. I think when I measured, or like when I calculated it out, it seemed to be, I think it was per 50 grams was honestly, I don't remember, but I held the yarn double to get gauge, and that turned out well. The only thing that I did incorrectly on this was I chose the wrong size. I didn't read through the measurement thing correctly. I should have measured myself and minus, like I was supposed to do a little bit of negative ease on the waistband, but mine is measured exactly, like I knit exactly to my waist size. So when I wear this, it doesn't like cinch in or anything, it just kind of sits on my waist. But that's okay, it still fits and I think it's really cute. I had my younger sister try it on and she thought it was really cute too. So I have some gray yarn sitting up there, a sport weight yarn by Briggs & Little that I might use like next year, and I might knit a skirt, this exact skirt, for my younger sister next year. Yeah, so I'm super happy to have that off the needles because I'm pretty sure I started that skirt earlier this year or something. I'm gonna try to be better starting next year. I'm gonna try to be better at writing down exactly the day that I start something and the day that I finish it. I would like to start using Ravelry more. I know I've said that in the past, but anyways. The next finished object I have is the Moby Slipover, and this is a pattern by Petite Knit. This is the first pattern by Petite Knit that I've ever knit that I can, well, at least that I can remember. And the yarn that I used is Ancient Arts yarn, and it was the Heritage base, and I think this was a Knit City exclusive because when I went on their website I couldn't find it. But so the body of this is knit in the Heritage base, and then the neckline and the armholes is knit in their Lascaux DK base. And the reason why I did that is because there's no way I did not have enough yarn after knitting the body. I knew ahead of time that I wasn't going to have enough yarn after I finished the body to knit the collar and the sleeves. And so I had some of this left over from my boho style mosaic shawl that I knit earlier this year, or I finished earlier this year. And it's in the same colorway, Bordeaux or French Bordeaux or something like that. And so it's a little bit darker, but I actually think that looks really cute, just slightly darker. And the texture is different too because the Heritage base is 100% Gotland, if I remember correctly. So it's got it's like a little bit fuzzy. I don't know if you can see that. And then the Lascaux DK is the Manx Loughton and something else, or I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's Manx Loughton, maybe? It's a really cool looking sheep. It's got big horns and stuff. And then I don't remember what the other sheep breed was, but here's the back. And it's interesting, I noticed this when I recorded this previously, is that there's like a line here of where I joined the last skein. There's no way. Is that all one skein there? There's no way. I don't know. In certain lights, it looks like there's like a harsh line. In person, you can't even see that though. I don't know. It's not. And the thing is, you don't really see it on the front as much. So I don't know if when I blocked this, something happened. I don't know. That's so weird. In any case, I don't really mind. I'm not really fussed about it, but it's super cute. And I really enjoyed knitting this. It was really easy to memorize the pattern. It's knit knit from the top down. You knit the back panel first, and then of course you pick up for the left front and then the right front, and then you connect it in the you still knit back and forth until under the sleeves, and then you connect in the round, and then you work in the round. So the lattice stitch that goes down the middle was super easy to memorize, and the way it was written, I was basically like every time there was basically all the the cables and the lattice all lined up, so it was easy to remember. And I don't think I made any mistakes in the lattice. I think I did make a couple, I made 2 errors and noticed it 8 rows later, so it took me probably 20-30 minutes to ladder down and figure out how to correct the lattice to go the right way. But other than that, I don't think there's any. I'm pretty sure all the crosses are correct. I don't know. I shouldn't be looking for errors. Oh, no, I just found one. What did I do there? Oh. Well, okay, there's one mistake in here that I didn't notice before, but it's not terribly noticeable. It might just be where I split spliced the yarn. That's probably what that is. It's just a little bit bulky there, but anyways, yeah, I'll just forget it was there. So, yeah, so that's my Moby Slipover. I enjoyed knitting it, and I can't wait to wear it. I'm still trying to, like, put wardrobe, or, like, put pieces together in my wardrobe to make outfits with my knits. The next finished object is the Hitofude cardigan, and this is a cardigan by Hiroko Fukatsu. And I knit this out of Australian merinos. That's what the tag said. So I don't know if there was something else on there that I'm missing, but it was called Australian merinos. I got it from a D-stash. And this is it. It's really hard to see on the camera here, but you can see the lace. And so there's the sleeves, and then the front has like there's increases to make it kind of, I don't know, like, well, it's definitely drapey, but I don't know how to describe it. But yes, there's increases to add more fabric along the side here. And the interesting thing about this pattern, this is the second time I've knitted. This one I actually finished. The first one I knit was too small, so I tore that out. And yeah, so the interesting thing about this pattern is if you have one piece of yarn, or like one ball of yarn, hank of yarn, whatever, that's long enough, you could knit this all in one go without any extra ends to weave in except for your starting end and your end. The way that this is constructed totally blew my mind, because when I was reading the pattern, I couldn't imagine in my head how it was supposed to piece together, or like how it was supposed to all come together to make a cardigan without any seaming or any like breaking yarn and using new yarn somewhere else to keep going. So yeah, how's that? Here's the back. Yeah, it's super cute when I put it on. I'll see if I can put it on complementary colors, purple and yellow. But yeah, because it's such a dark yarn, it's hard to take a picture of it. But you see what I mean? Like these increases here kind of give it like this ripply effect here, which I really like. And the way that the collar comes in, like technically if I had a pin or a button, I could button it closed. Well, I think that would be really cute, you know? Or like pin it, or like have like a shawl pin or something. But yeah, the length of the sleeves is growing on me. It's not like bracelet length if it was like maybe one more repeat. But one more repeat. But I think if I was to knit this again, I might go for like full size sleeve. No, actually this kind of looks cute now that I see it on the camera. But anyways, so it was really easy to memorize the pattern. I think it was like an 8-row repeat. The lace was, yeah, it was very intuitive. Once you get going, at least if you know how to read your knitting, it's very intuitive to know. It's like, oh, there's the yarn over from the previous row, or like the previous row, and then I do the knit two together and the yarn over, and I don't know how to explain it. Like once you know kind of thing. So yeah, so I'm really happy to have this off the needles. I'm pretty sure I started this a long time ago, it feels like. Yeah, I finally just sat down and cranked it out. So that's that. And then I've got 2 more finished objects. So I've got the gown cardigan, and this is a pattern by Irene. I made this out of Fiber Spates Scrumptious DK worsted. And I had 7 balls of it, or 7 hanks of it, and I only used 5.5. I did not do the pockets on this cardigan, and I didn't I didn't knit it as long as I was hoping to knit it. But first I'll show you the cables there along the collar. Super pretty. And so I weaved in all my ends, but I haven't blocked this yet. And because this is, what is it, 55% merino and 45% silk, honestly, I don't know if it needs blocking. It has so much drape to it. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of scared to block it because I don't want it to, like, stretch out. But I know it's going to have to get blocked at some point, which, you know, I really should. I won't let it soak for very long. I'll probably just dunk it in, take it out. But look how good those cables look. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, yeah, I made it so it's like just below my bum. So my sister is a little bit taller. My younger sister is a little bit taller than me, and this is for her. And so I originally was going to go back and undo the cuffs, undo the twisted ribbing, and just do a 1x1 rib with an Italian bind off, but I don't know. After I did the Italian bind off on the hem, on the body, I was done. It took me, okay, well, let me show you. I don't remember how many stitches there are on the hem, but I did about, what is that, like 1.5 inches of 1x1 rib? It's kind of hard to see on there. Yeah, there you go. So I did 1x1 rib, all of this, I don't know, 280 stitches or something crazy like that. And then I had the great idea to do an Italian bind off. So I did an Italian bind off. And it took me from 11 in the morning until, what was that, 3 o'clock? So 4 hours, it took me 4 hours with like a couple of breaks here and there, like short 5-10 minute breaks. But it took me a long time. I was like, I'm never going to do another Italian bind off on this many stitches, but knowing me, I probably still will. It's just a time commitment, and there's a lot of like doing this motion, you know, because you have, with 280 some odd stitches, I had a really long piece of yarn for the sewing. Yeah. It was a process. I did way overestimate the amount of yarn I needed. So when I got to like the halfway point, I ended up cutting probably like, I don't know, 2 meters out and finishing the rest of it. So there's a slightly less yarn on the sewing needle. And even when I finished, I still had like, I don't know, probably another meter worth of yarn. But yeah, so I finished the hem on the body, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave the oh my gosh, the wrists, the cuff on the wrist. I'm just gonna leave it that way, and yeah, that's that. So I'll block this today, and then I'm gonna be seeing my sister, my younger sister, in 2 weeks, I think. Not next weekend, but the weekend after. So this will be for her. And my last finished object is called the Leftover Candy Socks. Sorry, I turned around when I said that. They're called the Leftover Candy Socks, and this is a pattern that's in testing, and it's by Evelyn Renaud, or is it Renaud? And these I just finished yesterday the second sock, and I blocked it. So this is what it looks like on the sock blocker. Oh, if I can get my face out of there. Super cute. It's got a twisted rib up here, and then a twisted rib heel, and then this toe I've never done before. I think maybe it's called a rounded toe because it's basically decrease on every row until you hit a certain number of stitches, and then you Kitchener. So yeah, super cute. I really enjoyed testing this pattern. It was really fun to see what other people, like the colors that other people are knitting. The yarn that I used for this was actually, okay, so the sparkly, the Stellina yarn, or that's where I find when I do twisted ribbing, or half twisted ribbing, where my needles, like where each needle, the end of one needle and the start of another, even though I try to tighten the stitch, I still get like a little bit of a gap there. I don't really mind. Anyways, the Stellina yarn is undyed Stellina sock yarn. I don't know the company that made it. It was undyed yarn that I bought from the last yarn shop that I worked at before they closed. And then this color here is, originally it was undyed sock yarn that I also bought from that yarn shop. Oh, I don't know how many years ago. I must have done this 2018 or 2019. I wanted to dye my own yarn using food coloring because that was, you know, I didn't have to deal with chemicals. So I followed some tutorial I found online. I don't remember who it was by, but essentially I think you boil water and you put vinegar in it or something, and you soak the yarn, and then you lay it out. I laid it out on a trash bag and I just put food coloring all over it. I think it was like you put vinegar in the food coloring or something. I don't know. It's 5 years ago that I did this. And then you wrap it in saran wrap and you put it in the microwave and you cook it essentially. But anyways, the colors turned out really cool. I used blue, what is that? Blue and pink and purple, essentially. So it kind of reminds me of the sweet tart candies, or like the what are they called? Rockets? Or I guess they're called Rockets in Canada, and I think in the US they're called Smarties. It's like essentially pressed sugar in little tablet sort of things, and they come in a roll. But yeah, so I've got a pair of these, super excited. So after knitting these socks and how quickly they didn't knit up, I think it took me a week to knit these, and I probably could have knit them even faster had I not been working on other projects. But because I knit these up so fast, it kind of inspired me to pick up a previous whip, like a long-standing whip that I've had. And so that actually takes me into my my works in progress. Okay, so I only brought 2 works in progress right now because I'm currently technically working on, 8 projects at the moment, but to keep this shorter than the previous time that I filmed it, I'm only going to talk about 2. So the first one, on the topic of socks, and it's living in this bag that I picked up at a Christmas craft fair last year. I don't remember the name of the lady that sewed them, but so my first work in progress is a pair of socks that I'm knitting out of Midknit Cravings light sock base. So it's this really nice like purpley color, and it's called Wine Knot, which I think is pretty appropriate. And here's my sock. I counted it, I have 4 more repeats to go on the foot before I start the toe decrease. And I have the second, or like the first sock that I knit, and it's not technically blocked. I just put it on a sock blocker, like I haven't weaved in the ends yet. And so what I did with these socks is essentially I just used the pattern that's on the woodstone wrap, the lace pattern that's on the woodstone wrap, and then I used the twisted 1x1. Oh, here, let's show that side. The twisted 1x1 little cable thing down. It's like all down the back, and then oh my gosh, I just keep turning this around. And then there's like one that's on the front next to the lace panel. So I think if I show it this way, if I just do it like this. So it's technically the front starts at this twisted cable to that twisted cable, and then the back is all of these ones. And I did a slip stitch heel on the back. And again, the toe that I normally do for my socks is, like I said earlier, I basically remember it as 3 2 2 1 1 1, and then you knit every round. I think that's the toe that I did the very first sock pattern I ever knit, which was something by Sweet Georgia or Felicia Lowe, and I just committed that toe decrease to memory, and it seems to fit me pretty well. So I haven't really explored other toe decrease methods, because this one works for me, and yeah. But yeah, so that's my first work in progress. And then just get this back here. My second work in progress is the Acacia cardigan, and this is a pattern by Irene Lynn, and I am knitting this for the Irene Lynn knit along, which myself and Faith from We Just Talk About Knitting, we're hosting over on Instagram. So, and then there's also a video on my channel that I posted about all the Irene Lynn patterns that I have knit so far. Anyways, so, there we go. It's living in this bag that I got from Knit City this year from, what is it called? Atelier Nico Zuki. And it's super cute. It's got the cats on it. Anyways, the yarn I'm using I also picked up from Knit City, and it is from Kensington Prairie Farms, and it's called Baby Alpaca. So this is it. And it is 100% Baby Alpaca in the Bordeaux colorway. And I finally finished one sleeve. I had just like one of these was able to knit the sleeve, one sleeve with like just a little bit left over, like probably this much left over. So basically what I did with this one is I got to the, what is it? Connecting the body under the sleeves, or separating for the sleeves, and then I just knit the body until I had just a little bit left over, not enough to knit another row. So I have just that much left over and it's just kind of hanging here. And what I did was I picked up the first sleeve and I knit sleeve number 1. I believe it was one repeat less than it was called for in the pattern, and I don't mind. I think my gauge, my row gauge, is slightly off anyway. So what I did to accommodate the lack of extra repeat was I just added, I think it was like just a little bit more, maybe a couple more rounds of the cuff here, and then I did an Italian bind off. I don't think the Italian bind off is called for in the pattern, but maybe it is. I don't know. I'm just really obsessed with the Italian bind off right now. Anyways, so I've picked up for the second sleeve, and I've knit, what does that look like? Probably 2 repeats so far on the sleeve, and I'm really enjoying this knit, and I really want to finish it because I really want to cast on another Irene Lynn pattern. I want to cast on the Ran vest, but yeah, so this is, oh, I'll show the back too. So it's got like this cables and lace, which is right up my alley, and then there's some like twisted stitches in there, which I also love. And yeah, so this is coming along really nicely. I haven't worked on this week yet because I've been working on other projects. Like I said, I didn't bring them to show because otherwise I'd be talking forever. I'm already at 50 minutes, so I'm gonna try and, yeah, so that's all my works in progress that I'm showing today. However, I do want to say that I have 6 other projects on the needles, and so I have my third Harlow sweater v-neck, and that's for my sister-in-law. I just have, I think I just have the ribbing on the hem to do, the front and back, the split hem, and then I have to knit 1 sleeve. I also have the Seasons sweater that I'm working on, and I finally received my yarn from Hobby, and so I've got enough of the mohair to complete the sweater, so I just have the second sleeve to knit, and then the rest of the body. I think the body's like right about here right now, so I just have to knit the rest of the body. And then I have All of the Lights by Joji Locatelli. Oh yeah, sorry. The Harlow sweater v-neck is by Kadri, and the Seasons sweater is by Ozetta, and then All of the Lights is by Joji Locatelli, and that one is probably going to be the last thing I knit this year, or the last thing I finish this year. I'm hoping I finish it this year because I want a clean slate for January. And then so for All of the Lights, I have both like half of one sleeve and a full second sleeve, and then the rest of the body to go. And that has lace, cables, textures, baubles. It's got everything except for, wait, is there something missing? Lace, cable, baubles, and texture. Yeah, it's got everything basically. But it's a very, I wouldn't say like it's, well, yeah, it's kind of complicated, so it takes a lot of brain power to do. And then I have the Toledo top by Ekaterina Vorobeva that I would like to finish. And I got my yarn for the boho style mosaic cardigan by Irene Lynn. I got enough yarn. That one I actually put a lot of work on in the last couple of days, but it was too big to fit in my bag that I brought here to my parents' place. But I'm essentially working on the shawl collar now, and that's the last thing I need to do. The yarn that I got was a different, well, yeah, it's a different dye lot, so it's the original gray that I have is a warm gray, and the second set of yarn that I got, because I got the first set of yarn earlier this year, or maybe it was last year. I guess it was last year. So this one is a different dye lot, and it's kind of a cooler gray, so it's quite different, but not different enough for me to... It's on the shawl collar. It's mostly just on the shawl collar, and then a little bit on the mosaic colorwork at the bottom, so I'm not too concerned about it. Haven't looked at it in the daylight, or like in natural light yet, just in the lighting in my place. And then the last work in progress I have on my needles is the Birkeland shawl. And that's a pattern by me that I released earlier in September. And I think I might actually frog that one because I'm not really feeling it right now. And I don't want it to sit on the needles forever and just not ever get around to it. Basically, like I said, my goal is I have 8 projects on the needles right now. And I would like to finish all of those projects before the end of the year, or by the end of the year, without casting on anything new. And that's what I'm hoping to stick to. And so far I've been good. The only thing I cast on was that test knit, but I was able to cast that on and cast it off within a week, so that's okay. It was a really quick project. It was just socks. But yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on finishing these socks. I want to finish, I'll finish the mosaic cardigan, and then I'm going to work on the Harlow sweater v-neck is the third thing I need to finish, because I need to have those done so I can film the video comparing all of the 3 sweaters that I knit and the yarns that I used and how I liked each yarn and yada yada. And then I'll probably finish the Acacia cardigan, and then the last 2 for this year will be the Toledo top and all of the lights cardigan. But yeah, so that's my plans, and yeah, I'm hoping to film some more videos before the end of the year, some like extra videos. I've been putting together a video for gifts for knitters, not gift knitting, not like knitting things to gift, but like actual gifts that you can get for the knitter in your life, which I feel like if you're already a knitter, you kind of know things that you could get for other knitters, but I thought it would be really fun to put together a video of ideas that I have sourced, or like ideas that I've been thinking about for the past year, because I have a bag over there of stuff that I bought for this video last December, but I never got around to filming it. So anyway, so that's a plan for that, and then etc. But yeah, okay, now I'm waffling. I think that's it for now. But yeah. Anyways, so that's it, and thanks again for watching and sticking all the way through if you've made it this far, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!